Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Today is the 27th of December.
Yes.
27th. We are going on a shed hunt. And though I might not recommend shed hunting yet, the viewers found an antler for us on the last episode, which I thought was pretty funny. I was doing a pan of the food plot. I didn't notice that it was laying out there, but a number of the viewers saw it. So Jordan and I are going to go get it. And if it's the deer that I think it is, we'll talk about him just a little bit too. But we've got a few stops along the way. I've got one of the stealth cameras back behind us on this fence post. And I must have put too small of an SD card in there. I didn't really understand, the whole process, but that one filled up. And once the SD card fills up, then it won't take any more pictures. So I've got to swap the card out on this one, and then I've got two more that are getting close to full. So I'm going to swap those too. So that's part of the mission, but the bigger part is to go find this antler and see if there's any others that are just laying around. It's kind of cool to be able to get out on a late December like this without freezing. I guess for the purposes of what we're doing, it's not exactly ideal for deer hunting.
It feels like February or March, like a warm late February. It's kind of humid and wet and no wind. I mean, really it's nice out.
Yeah.
But not for deer hunting.
No, and we're going to find that out probably here in the next couple of days, that it's not going to be very good. In fact, I've been checking my cameras every morning, and the amount of daylight activity on my plots and on my trails and places where I've got my cameras has dropped way off with this warmer weather. It's supposed to get cold, but not for several days. So we're going to have a few days of hunting, under these conditions, and then I'll probably take a little break and then get back after it for the last part of the season when it gets colder. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail App, Whitetail Institute, Research Equals Results, B3 Releases, XO Broadheads, Exact Sights, Muddy Outdoors Tree Stands, Stealth Cam Trail Cameras, and Hoyt. There he is. There's the antler that you guys found. We just came in and picked him up. This is the deer that I thought it would be. I had some pictures of him on this camera right over there from maybe almost 2 weeks ago now with one side. And I'm sure if I look hard enough, I'm going to find what looks like a great big doe, but that will be him with both sides dropped. I don't know why he shed early. This isn't normally the time when you would start looking for shed antlers. It's too early. You don't want to put stress on the deer by running all over the place now. I usually don't start till, sometime into February. It's about normal. Give them a chance to get most of it, most of them dropped before you start running around and pushing the deer around. But he was laying out here, and I just didn't want a coyote to come and get him or something else to grab him. Plus, it's kind of fun to get around the farm and just see, I haven't been anywhere.
Yeah, we haven't done this in a long time.
No, and it's interesting to see what they're eating and what they're not eating. We've seen tons of deer activity on this plot. This is the one that we called the Fat Buck plot. Jordan called it Old Unreliable because of her 2022 history with this field.
I know it like the back of my hand.
But they're definitely eating this. They're working on the bulbs now. A lot of times with these brassicas, they'll eat the greens and then they won't eat the bulbs. But here they're eating both. They've eaten most of the greens already, but there's still some. And they're definitely starting on the bulbs. we noticed that in certain spots, they're hitting the sorghum pretty hard too. Not everywhere. And no doubt that some of these plots are going to be, have plenty of sorghum left over. Haven't come to my final judgment on that yet, whether corn is better than sorghum. Right now, I would say yes, because the spots where we have cameras on corn, we're getting lots of photos. And we're not getting a lot of photos of the deer hitting the sorghum, although they are. The one behind us, they'll finish this one off, I think, because they've probably eaten maybe 25% of this one. But the one we just stopped at earlier, I'd say probably 10%. And they'll never get that one finished. But it's just nice to have food here. It's different than that southern Iowa farm where by this time of the year, a lot of times the food plots will be picked over. So they're going to be super healthy. They're going to get big and fat and reach their potential. And we'll wait to see what this guy looks like next year. I think we argued about how old that deer was. I tried to convince everybody that he was 3, and everybody threw a fit and said that he was 4. And Jared Mills said there's no way he's 3. And I've got the photo history of this deer, so I'll let everybody else judge. I'm going to stick with the fact that he was 3 this year. And gosh, I don't know, but I've got pictures of him from the past 3 years. And if you go back to 2022, that sure looks like a 1.5 year old buck. And then 2023, I've got pictures of him, and he would have been a pretty small 3-year-old, which is possible. But because I think he was 2 last year and then 3 this year, but it's possible that he's 4 this year. But either way, this deer was very visible. Jared filmed him here hunting with me. You still got it there. Early November, and then I think November 13th, we were back in the big timber off to my left, and he was back in there following a doe around. We could have killed this deer twice this season, had he been one that we were after. So it's kind of nice to know that maybe, we'll see what we decide on this deer if he's still here next year. If he is and we decide he's 5, I think we know how to kill him. But it'll be fun either way. Even if we shoot him next year, I'm going to send the teeth in and find out what the actual age of this deer is so we can put that debate to rest.
It's fun to have some more history with more of the bucks on the farm now. And I mean, each year, you get more, but I know the first couple years it's like, whatever. Like, you don't know their age, you don't have the historical pictures, you haven't seen them. And so it's a more interesting story too to have.
Yeah, and I think they're easier to kill too. The more years you spend, with the deer around, because you get to know their habits better. You get to know their range, when they show up, where they are at certain times of the year, which makes them a lot more killable when the time finally comes. So he's one that might be on the list this coming year, but we just thought you'd get a kick out of us going in here and picking up the antler that you guys found. And
so you guys can all add 1 shed to your yearly tally. You get a bonus point.
Yeah, you get a bonus shed.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not sure if we'll wrap up here or not. We'll drive around a little bit more, but my guess is that there's not a whole lot between here and getting back to the buildings that we're going to be able to show you and talk about. We are going to hunt, like I mentioned, probably starting tomorrow for a couple of days. Just see how it goes. I mean, like I said, nothing coming on camera. It's actually a bad decision to hunt now, but we're here and we got to have something to post on the page. We can't just keep putting up videos of finding antlers that you guys have pointed out to us. We're gonna have to do a little bit of hunting here, but normally I'd say don't go into these spots until you get a buck that you're interested in, showing at least some tendency toward daylight. We don't have very many bucks on the farm right now that we would shoot anyway. Really only one, and he's been showing up at midnight on the next plot over. And even then it's only every 2 or 3 days, 4 days. So it's more about just getting out, seeing what's around, maybe shooting a doe or 2 and wrapping up the season. But we appreciate you following us along so far. We're gonna keep bringing you everything that we can here until the bitter end. So we'll catch you back here again soon for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream
Big.
big.